together. Where does Barack Obama fall in this scale? Is he a Democrat? Is he a progressive? Or is he a revolutionary?
He is a revolutionary who has a particular genius. I call this the genius of translation. And what I mean by this is, think of it, he's got a remote ideology that he got from a Luo tribesman in Africa in the 1950s, his dad. He has managed to sell that foreign, strange ideology to the American people. It takes a peculiar genius to do that. You have to be able to take ideas that are completely unfamiliar. Most Americans don't know what anti-colonialism is.
Right.
And you've got to transpose those ideas in a way that makes them marketable. So Obama never says, I want to reduce America's standard of living. He says, because of global warming, we need carbon taxes. The carbon taxes will reduce American consumption.
Correct.
Or he never says, I don't care if Iran has a nuclear bomb. He goes, I want to focus on reducing America's nuclear arsenal because I want a world free of nuclear weapons. And of course, we've got the most. So in a sense, by stating principles at that level of generality, all the goofy liberals come along thinking, oh yes, Obama's one of us. Business guys go along. They say, oh yes, he's going to be like Clinton. He might be socially liberal, but he's going to be, but now
shocked.
Then they're baffled. Why is he doing this? Why is he anti-business? Why is he against us?
So, in the book, and it comes out in 3 weeks, do you address, because this is what I said with Chris Wallace the other day, race doesn't begin to explain it. That was an infantile understanding at that point in my life, 18 months ago, that I understood, because that was the first thing, that was the American way of connecting with him and going, it must be racism. No. It is anti-colonialism, but it is also, I believe, liberation theology, which ties in to Marxism and anti-colonialism. It's where he found, in his words, it's where I found Jesus. Do you address this in the book, and do you think I'm right on that?
I think you're onto something. I address it in great detail. I address Obama's history in Hawaii. I address Jeremiah Wright. I address Bill Ayers. The beauty of this thesis is it illuminates so much.
All of it.
We miss so much about people like Jeremiah Wright, in part because we focus on 5 quotations that he says. And we think that's Jeremiah Wright. But Jeremiah Wright has a very well thought out theology. And in fact, he's been the one stressing it. When you listen to that theology, it explains immediately why Barack Obama stayed in his church for 20 years. The liberal idea, well, that, he just wasn't listening very well, is absurd. He knew exactly what Jeremiah Wright stood for. Now, Jeremiah Wright is not primarily a race man. That's the key thing. He sounds like it, and a lot of people take him to be a race man, but if you listen to what he says, remember, most of his comments are not about race. They're about American foreign policy. They're about, we invaded Libya, we invaded Grenada, we shot Gaddafi's son. So we've taken the country from the Arawaks. This is not a race theory. There's something bigger going on here. So I think we haven't fully gotten Obama.
It is another theory of mine that we as a country, and this is why it is extraordinarily dangerous, because as is everything that turns out evil, it takes truth and perverts it. And the truth that I have come to in the last few years of trying to understand our country and trying to understand the good, the bad, and the ugly is that there was divine providence. And divine providence is this idea that as you try to do the right thing, as you try to be on God's side, not have him on your side, as you are trying to be on God's side and trying to do the right thing, providential things happen along the way, and you're like, oh wow. Some people dismiss it as a coincidence, but it's because you're in the flow of God and you're on God's side. Then manifest destiny came, and that is, get out of my way, we're on a mission from God. And that's where the perversion comes, and that's the essence of the power that comes from somebody like Jeremiah Wright. It's not just race, it is manifest destiny is evil, and they're right on that. Divine providence is what we based our country on. Manifest destiny is what we perverted it into at different times in our history.
I think what's, to me, peculiar, and I'm going to make a statement that you kind of have to order the roots of Obama's rage to fully understand, but I think it's intriguing enough. I'm an immigrant from India who, in a sense, fell in love with America. And that's why I wrote a book, What's So Great About America, celebrating the uniqueness of America.
I love that. If you don't have that book, every American should buy that book.
Now, Obama has made a different journey. In a way, Obama and I are similar. Let me give you a small detail. I consider myself partly a foreigner. Why? Because I grew up in India. I came to the United States at the age of 17 as an exchange student, and I've lived the rest of my life here. So, in some senses, I always see America from the inside and the outside. Here's something interesting. Obama was born in the same year that I was, 1961. He did not set foot on the continental mainland of the United States till he was 17. Obama's first 17 years were spent off the American mainland. He lived in Hawaii. He lived 4 years in Indonesia. Subsequently, he made trips to Pakistan. He made 3 trips to Africa. So we think of Obama as all-American, you know, the multicultural guy, the kumbaya, but that's not Obama. Obama has a very different history that is sort of unknown. He was the most unknown guy to set foot in the Oval Office. So it's weird that 2 years into his term, we are just getting to know Barack Obama.
That is the fault of the media, which brings us full circle to they believe in many of the things that he believes. You know, you always you think of the media and you're like, why do they hate America so much? Well, they they believe that we are the oppressor.
Part of it, I think, there is a kind of a kinder interpretation, and that is this, that I don't know if I should give it, but...
No, go ahead.
But I think a lot of Americans voted for Obama because he represented to them something wonderful, which is to say America getting over, if you will, race. He represented the Martin Luther King idea, even though he doesn't really care about that idea.
I would agree with you on that, but that is, the journalists are way too smart and educated, and their job is to find out what motivates someone. And you can do that for a little while, but you can't do that for very long, and as long as they have.
No,
they're accomplices in this.
There's a scandalous, not only lack of reporting, but active cover-ups of what Obama's doing. They want him to succeed, and we'll make sure he does.
Yes. Okay, Dinesh D'Souza, we have some good news on this. When we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about India, because India chose a different path than what really what we're choosing now. They chose a different path, and we'll get to that here in just a second. All right, I want to wrap things up with Dinesh D'Souza. The name of the book is The Roots of Obama's Rage. It is out in 3 weeks. I'm telling you, I have not read it yet, but I know his theory, and he is right. And this is the first time in one place you can get everything about Obama's history that puts his present into perspective, so you can understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. Now, I want to leave with a positive here. You're from India. India, with Gandhi, went through anti-colonialism, and they shook off the British. But India now it never went through it did, but I mean, Gandhi wasn't about the hate. And it wasn't about reparations or punishing or anything else. It was really a movement of love, and India is succeeding now.
Yeah, this is an interesting transition that's happened in my lifetime. When I was a young boy, if a drain pipe burst on my street, the local politician would jump up and down and say, the British are responsible, the British did this to us. And in a sense, okay, the British built the drain pipe. But as long as the Indians kept saying that, no one fixed the drain pipe. The moment the Indians took responsibility for their destiny and said, look, let's use our labor advantage, let's try to make stuff other people want to buy. India is now coming up in the world, and Obama, poor Obama, he's living in this time machine, and it's very scary because we're in a competitive world. We got to compete with the Indians, the Chinese.
The Roots of Obama's Rage, Dinesh D'Souza, out in 3 weeks. Pre-order it now.